Now, the Ghana Energy Commission has warned that government may have to import power as a result of fault and fuel supply constraints. This was contained in the Commission 2024 Energy Outlook, where it anticipated government will have to cough more than $1 billion to buy fuel for power generation in 2024 alone. Joy News Research Desk has been studying the report. Lead member of the desk, Isaac Kofi, joins me in studio for some analysis. Kofi, let's start with what the Commission said about the possibility of power import. Already we are exporting, so there could be a reverse flow.
Yeah. So the Commission were very categorical that they believe that in 2024 we may not have to import power. However, if we look at two factors, first one, they mention faults, and then fuel supply restrictions or contingencies. If these two are not, really addressed or well addressed in 2024, we may have to import power to be able to have that dependable capacity for us to, send power to our homes and all of that. So that was according to the Energy Commission. Right. Now, they also made revelation. And yesterday, we were all surprised when Kojo Poku on Top Story said that he doesn't think that we need money to buy, fuel or gas.
Right.
But the Energy Commission in their 2024 outlook, energy outlook, were very categorical. And you have on your screens there what they said about the possibility of we having to, import power. So they say no power import anticipated in 2024. However,
yes, emergency
import may be necessitated as a result of a short-term capacity shortages caused by fault or fuel supply contingency. And this, Elton, is exactly what...
Of course, what we were talking about, the issue of fuel.
Yeah.
And fuel can only come when you have money to buy.
When you have money. Now let's go to the next slide and they give more details. They say in 2024, natural gas will remain the predominant fuel for thermal facilities. It is expected to come from indigenous gas fields.
Right.
We get this one.
Jubilee 10, yeah.
And then there's supposed to be some gap that we need to close. Where is it coming from?
The West African gas. Yes, exactly.
This one will not come for free. What do you need? You need money to buy.
And already we owe them. We owe them for what they've supplied to us. They are reluctant because we are not forthcoming with our payment.
Yeah. At the beginning of the year, we all saw that they closed the pipeline. We had to make some upfront payment before they gave us access to the pipeline. Now, let's look at some other details. So they say again, in 2024, an estimated 341,180 barrels of HFO will be required by AXA alone to fuel some of its units. Not even the entire unit, but some of AXA's unit, because some of them rely on HFO fuel to actually survive. Now, let's do some more analysis, and this is where possibly the meat is,
right,
where we are talking about monetary, valuation of the problem. The total expenditure, and this is not us, this is according to the Ghana Energy Commission's own energy outlook for 2024. The total fuel expenditure for the year is estimated at 1.15 billion, with about 1.12 billion, Elton, about 97% expected to be used for the procurement of what?
Natural gas. Yeah.
While the remaining will be for the procurement of HFO to fuel some of its units of the AXA plant. So the biggest component of the fuel budget, about $1.2 billion, about 97% is expected to be used to purchase natural gas.
So therefore, we are moving from oil.
Yes, from hydro. We were depending so much on hydro. And now we have about more than 64% of our dependable capacity depending on thermal plants. Now they say although there's a relatively high installed generation capacity, gas supply sustainability remains one of the major risks
to reliable electricity supply in the country.
Absolutely. It was said in December that, look, this is the problem. But how do we solve it? They gave some sort of,
recommendations.
Let's look at it. And this is where someone will say the writings were clear on the wall, but we failed to read it like a classroom register. They say any disruptions in fuel supply will render some thermal plants inoperable, which will negatively, impact supply reliability. Thus, disruption in electricity generation can be averted by securing an alternative fuel supply to make up
for any shortfall
in gas supply within the period. Now the question is, when, where, and how will governments find this alternative fuel And how much of money?
How much are you buying? How much are you buying it for? I'm picking information that the sector minister is in Europe trying to negotiate for supply of fuel. The minority in parliament, they made it clear that they will not accept any
shady deals,
any credit arrangement because eventually we'll have to pay in the future. The current board chair of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Herbert Krapper, according to Paul Adomotri, has given indication that the doom, so what we are experiencing, will end in 10 days because they are in the process of...
see the May
exactly.
projection.
They are in the process of fixing it. And even yesterday, according to him, they added 200 megawatts more. That's how quite there was some kind of stability last night. But he's given indication that in the next 10 days, they will fix it because the minister is on top of this and working to bring in the much needed fuel. We
are left with about 8 more months to go. And that 8 months, we need about $760 million. We are talking about $95 million every month, $3.2 million every day to buy fuel, to make this whole doomsday thing go away. Usually, when we have some of these problems, we either fall on ECG's own collections, which we know that there's under, collection and shortfalls. This year alone, the shortfalls in the energy sector is estimated around 23 billion Ghana cedis. That's about, let's say, 2.1 or $1.9 billion.
This is collection, not collected?
No, that's the shortfall. So if we collect everything and we use everything, we still have to find
a way to close this
23 billion Ghana cedis to close the gap. And formerly, or previously, government was helping in the payment of this gap. And we understand that under the cash waterfall mechanism, that is supposed to be the role of the finance ministry, paying of top-ups to the level B, power players. But since August 2023, they're supposed to pay some 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. They've not paid. They've not paid.
In fact, the PRC report mentioned almost 200 million Ghana cedis.
That's for 1 month.
That's for 1 month.
Yeah.
And it's risen to 1.3 billion Ghana cedis.
That's cumulatively from August to February, 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. On average, they are owing somewhere around 200 million every month. That's the amount they're supposed to top up to pay Gridco, to pay VRA, which is responsible for buying fuel, and sometimes the ministry as well. So the finance ministry is not doing that. But why are they facing this challenge? It's because usually the securities that were available to them as a pool for them to get a capital are all no longer there. Let's look at the Eurobond. The Eurobond is gone. We do not have access to that market again. We can go and borrow, but they will hit you with
interest that you cannot pay. But we've demonstrated to the world that we are incapable of paying our debt.
Absolutely. We usually get about $3 billion from there, and we're using it to solve our problems. Now that market is no longer there. The local bonds market, you've restructured almost all the bonds. And now ESLA, Dachi, and Government of Ghana's own bonds no longer there.
And what about Treasury bill, which has become the main goal for government?
Treasury bill at the moment may be too shallow because you are actually dependent on this market to solve your entire budget deficit for 2024. So you are borrowing everything from the Treasury bill. And now we know that the interest rate on the bills that people are buying has dropped. And it's no longer becoming that attractive. When it was around 30% and 31%, people wanted them. But now it's around 20-something percent. And they see it as no longer attractive, so they are declining. And the last one that the issue, there were marginal under-subscription. Then there is the bigger, source, which is the mother, which is Bank of Ghana. They used to bail you out whenever you have some of these issues. But now you've been asked to, under the IMF program, sign a 0% financing.
You won't do that because the last time they came to our rescue, it left 60 billion Ghana cedis in their books.
Absolutely. And the IMF will be watching. They've actually implanted somebody at the Bank of Ghana to be monitoring some of these things to make sure that 0% financing agreement is adhered to. So the finance ministry is actually finding itself in a very difficult financial problem.
But the expectation is that if this IMF negotiations is able to come to a successful end, we expect some millions of dollars from the World Bank, from the IMF, from now to the end of the year, running into over $1 billion.
Yes, I think it's 1.4 billion for the entire
year. And it's supposed to go into budgetary support, which therefore may give us space to maneuver our way around.
But some of that money, or the money we are expecting, are supposed to go into specific programs, especially the money coming from the World Bank. A part of it, about 250 million, is supposed to go into the banking sector recapitalization. We have 300 million expected to go into DPOs, and then additional, I think, 70 million also expected to go into some projects, which is not buying fuel.
Right.
Then you are expecting about $720 million from the IMF itself this year. The nearest one is a 360 million, which we are expecting in June. We've not really gotten all the necessary financial assurance, but that's the closest money we can get at the moment. But even that money will also have to, maybe, I mean, it's for BOP financing, but definitely it will help us show, you know, some of the gaps we have in our budget.
In all of it, I'm tempted to ask you about internally generated funds and whether we are meeting our targets. Because we've done a lot of expansion.
Yeah.
We've introduced a lot of tax measures to bring in more money. Are we not doing well in that area to say that even though we may not be getting the needed foreign inflow, internally we are doing well, and that should count for something?
The problem is that we had the projections, but some of the tax measures did not fall through or are not working at all, or are, you know, simply not bringing the amount that we need. Let's start with e-levy.
Right.
E-levy's, you know, total inflows has been reduced drastically from the close to 7 billion Ghana cedis, now in the region of millions.
But it's interesting when you introduce that element.
Yeah.
And when you look at the volume of transaction on the e-levy, and it is in trillions of cedis.
Yes. So
and yet the benefit to the state continues to go down.
Yes. It simply tells you that people have found ways and means to go around the system. And I mean, when I use the right means, that's when you can tax me. But people are finding ways and means to go around the system. So the question is, how do you make it so that you still get the needed revenue from it, but people will not really feel it like the way they do?
Sure.
I mean, we were expecting to get some billions of Ghana cedis from the imposition of that 21% VAT on lights. Electricity. In terms of, you know, I think residential areas. But that has been suspended. And you ask yourself, that was supposed to help close the gap or help bring in more revenue. Now that that has been suspended, what other revenue source are we looking at? So we are all looking at the, you know, looking to the finance minister in the mid-year budget. Maybe we'll see where
the situation is.
Absolutely. So we are all counting on the finance minister to read the mid-year budget, which will be probably in the next 2 months or so, July. And so we are hoping that some of these, you know, issues will be addressed in the 2024 mid-year budget by Finance Minister Mohamed Amin Adam. Doctor. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Kofi, for coming through with the update from the Energy Commission and the prediction or the projection they made ahead of 2024. And clearly, what they predicted is what we are experiencing in this year of 2024. Let's